welcome to another episode. Now, having spent just over 3 years living in Italy at the time of filming, I have learnt a lot. And so if I were thinking of moving to Italy in 2022, these are the things that I absolutely would do. So the first thing that I would do would be to get super clear on my why. What do I mean by this? I mean, you need to understand your reason and rationale for wanting to move to Italy. It's so important that you are certain about this and you build a strong enough foundation around your reason for moving to Italy, because when you do move here, there may be moments that challenge you and that you find difficult. And if your reason for staying in Italy is not strong enough, it is at that moment that you may simply decide to quit and jack it all in and move back to your own country or to another country. So for this reason, it's really important that you have a strong enough why so that you can build some resilience. So when you face those challenges, your why is stronger than those challenges and you can stick it out and resolve it and overcome it. And I can tell you, like, having spent nearly 2 years of my life here in a lockdown and in the pandemic, my why had to be super strong for me to want to remain. And so if it hadn't have been at that moment, I might have decided to return back to the UK. And so that's why I say it's really, really important. We don't know what life may throw at us, especially in this very uncertain period with the pandemic. We're not through it. We're in the next stages with Omicron and various other variants. And so for this reason, we have to really understand our rationale and reasoning for wanting to live in Italy and build a strong foundation around that. The second thing that I would do if I were moving to Italy in 2022 would be to form a set of non-negotiables. And what that means is a set of things that absolutely I must have in and around me in the area that I choose to move to in Italy. Now, you may not already have an idea of where you want to move to in Italy, which is why forming these set of non-negotiables at the very beginning is so important. Because if you decide that you want to live somewhere with good transport and you decide that you want to be within walking distance of the shops, or you want to have people that live around you, then of course you are going to eliminate those parts of Italy that are more remote. And so for this reason, to form those set of non-negotiables from the very beginning means that you can be a little bit more discerning about which parts of Italy might be better for you. And so make a list, but also be prepared that you might have to be a little bit adaptable, because not every part of Italy is going to tick all the boxes. But if you have a set of non-negotiables, it certainly makes that process a little bit easier, because then you understand what is important for you and you understand what parts of Italy can meet those expectations for you as well. And the third thing that I would do would be that I would try to spend time in different parts of Italy. Now, of course, this is very much dependent on the restrictions that may be in place at the time. We are still living through the pandemic, so every day there's something new that's happening. So, if you are able to come to Italy and spend a period of time here, I recommend that you spend time in different regions and different parts of the country, because life differs in different parts of Italy. People are constantly telling me on this channel how different life is in the north of Italy compared to the south where I live. And so you need to experience that for yourself. It's one thing to listen to other people telling you their personal experiences, but it's quite another when you are in that country or in that region yourself and you can experience it and see it firsthand. So for this reason, I thoroughly recommend trying different parts of Italy, try before you buy if you like, and see what region works best for you and what region meets those non-negotiables that I was talking about earlier as well. The fourth thing that I would do if I were moving to Italy in 2022 would be to rent a property initially, and maybe not even a whole apartment, but maybe a room. If I were moving solo like I did back in 2018, I wouldn't want to immediately rent a whole apartment and take that responsibility on by myself. So potentially at the beginning, I might consider renting an Airbnb for like a month to understand what's available in the region. But then when the time comes for me to decide to get something more permanent, I would decide to rent a room initially. Now, you have to do your homework, especially if you come to Italy wanting to gain residency, because it's really important that your rental contract allows for the residency process to be completed. But a lot of room contracts do allow this. I currently rent a room and my contract allows me to gain residency. So for this reason, I think it's the perfect option. You have less responsibility and you're not so alone either. You live with other people. And so for this reason, you can start to make connections and feel less isolated. Because if you move to another country by yourself, I don't care how brazen and bold you are in your country, when you live in another country, it absolutely can make you feel very shy, nervous, timid, and completely change who you are as a person. So I just think, don't rush to buy somewhere. This is another aspect of this. Don't rush to buy, rent somewhere first. Even if you move as a family, don't rush to buy somewhere. Even those €1 homes, there are always terms and conditions attached to those properties. Like, do your research, take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to immediately purchase somewhere here to settle yourself. You can rent for a period and be sure about the area before you make a more permanent decision to buy somewhere. And the fifth thing that I would do if I were moving to Italy in 2022 would be to form connections before I actually stepped onto the plane. Now, this can be done by connecting through Facebook groups. There are plenty of expat groups that are centered in and around Italy, and just making connections with the people that post in those groups. Now, of course, I've spoken about this at great length, including in this video up here. You do need to exercise a degree of caution within these groups. There can be a lot of people sharing just purely negative experiences, but if you can sift through those, you often find people who are very helpful, very kind, and want to form connections with people that live in those areas. So for this reason, I think that they can be a good source of information, and it means that you can start to form the all-important connections that are the lifeline of Italy before you even arrive. Because honestly, like, when you arrive to a brand new town and you don't know anybody, it can take a little bit of time to form those connections in person. So if you've managed to do so virtually before you even arrive, this can make your initial experience so much better. And the next thing that I would do, the sixth thing that I would do if I were moving to Italy in 2022 would be, if I needed to find a job, and that would be that I would email potential companies before I'd even arrived. Way back in 2018, when I decided that I wanted to move to Italy, this is exactly what I did. I emailed lots of different companies, schools, a cruise ship company, lots of different organisations, and I put myself out there. I didn't wait for the jobs to present themselves. I took the initiative and I presented my CV and gave a little bit of a background story as to what I was looking for. And that quite simply is how I secured my work here. And so for this reason, it's the one thing that I recommend that you do if you are looking to find work in Italy. Don't listen to the horror stories of people telling you that you'll never find work here. It's simply not true. Depending on the skill set that you have and the sector that you want to work within, there are jobs here. And so for this reason, you just need to go and find those jobs. Unfortunately, as it is in every country, the jobs don't come to you. You have to put the work in and be proactive about it, and then you'll be rewarded for your efforts. So that is something that I would do. Take the initiative. You don't have to be in Italy already to start applying for jobs and to start putting yourself out there, putting the feelers out, as we like to say in English. You can very easily be in the country that you're already in, but you start to take the initiative before you even step on the plane, and it makes that particular area of your life so much easier to organise by taking those steps early on. The next thing that I would do, the seventh thing that I would do, would be to learn the basics of Italian. This is vital, and it's something that I neglected to do before I moved here in 2018. And honestly, I had such a difficult start here because of this reason. So the one thing that I would say is spend some time learning the basics, even if it's just basic greetings, basic directions, enough that you can be understood if you need to be. If you move here by yourself and you do not speak the language, and you know maybe just a handful of people or nobody at all, it's going to be very difficult for you, because English, especially if this is your language, isn't widely spoken. So for this reason, you need to have a basic level of Italian to be able to communicate. Yes, you can live in Italy and not speak Italian. In fact, I spoke about it right here, but your life will not be a bed of roses. And so for this reason, the more you can do before you arrive, the easier it will be for you to feel integrated into life here and to sort out and arrange the things that you need to do that come on the back of your move here. So learning the basics of Italian, YouTube videos. I've got a vlog series where I'm studying Italian at the moment here in Italy, if you want to watch some of those. Books. There are so many different ways that you can learn Italian wherever you may be in the world, and I thoroughly recommend that you start before you even arrive here in Italy. The next thing that I would recommend, the eighth thing, if you are moving to Italy, is to be selective with what you move with. Now, don't think that everything that is currently in your life, in the country that you're in, is going to necessarily fit into the Italian way of living, because it won't. When I moved here to Italy back in 2018, I moved with 3 suitcases on the plane, and then later on I shipped maybe 2 or 3 large boxes, and that was it. I didn't move with any electrical appliances because the power supply in the UK is different to the power supply here in Italy. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to permanently be running gadgets on adapters because I know that that's not a good thing to do. But also, I just took the logical route as well. If something went wrong with these appliances, it's not as if I could take them back to the shop. I'm in a completely different country. And so for this reason, it just made better sense for me to purchase all my electrical gadgets brand new here in Italy. That way, if anything went wrong with them, I could easily return them and they were already running on the correct power supply. And so this is why I say be selective about what you move with. I sold a lot of my things through car boot sales and donating to charity shops, things like this. So I think it's the perfect moment for you to declutter and move with just the essentials and purchase what you can here in Italy. The way of life here, the things that you'll need here, they could be very different to what you actually use and need in the country that you live in now. So for this reason, it's better for you to be more selective and just really move with the essentials that you cannot be without, and then start to buy new things when you're here that fit better with the Italian way of living. And the 9th thing that I would recommend that you do if you're thinking of moving to Italy in 2022 is to do some personal development work on yourself. Trust me, I cannot stress this enough. You may think that you are this incredible person who can handle anything that comes your way. He's very strong, very determined, but there is nothing like moving to a new country to rip all of that apart and completely expose you. And so for this reason, you need to have a strong mindset, but you also need to do that personal development work. If you are choosing to move to Italy for reasons that are linked to escaping something from your past or trying to overcome something that you've had to deal with, those experiences will move with you. And so for this reason, you need to understand that if you don't do the work on yourself, you are going to have the same problems that you had, except this time you're just in a new country with new surroundings. And so for this reason, I really recommend that you read some personal development books, you find a technique to help you with any problems that you may be experiencing, but do the personal development work. Not only will it help you to feel more integrated and more present in the life that you are creating for yourself, but also it will help you if you have any challenges or difficult moments here in Italy, because you have an understanding of how to overcome those in a healthy, productive way. And the last thing, number 10, that I would do if I'm moving to Italy in 2022 is to fully understand the requirements of me being able to move to Italy and what I needed to do. Now, obviously, I moved to Italy pre-Brexit, so I didn't have to worry about visas. But of course, now, even if you move from the UK, you have to have some form of a visa if you want to be here on a long-term basis. So for this reason, I would be super clear about the requirements of the visa, of what I need to fulfill in terms of my obligations of living in Italy. I would want to understand everything. This is really important. Don't wait until you arrive to understand these details. There are plenty of resources on the internet. You can contact your embassy if you need more details, the Italian embassy. There are lots of things that you can do to fully understand what it is that you must get in place to be able to live your life here in Italy. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you can organise it all when you arrive, because I can tell you something, the bureaucracy here in Italy can be a little bit of a headache. And so if you don't have an understanding of what you need to sort out before you come, you're going to make life very difficult for yourself. So try to do as much as you can before you even step on the plane and understand everything that you need to do about your ability to live here and the conditions that Italy require from you. So these are the 10 things that I would do if I were moving to Italy in 2022. I have lots of other resources on my YouTube channel if this is going to be what you're thinking of doing, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.